What's up guys, I'm BTC. What is going on with Mercy? After she got her rework, it was nerf after nerf after nerf. When will it end? Do you need healing? Of course you do. Show the world with some of this sweet gear, and for today only, 20% off everything. Check the link down below. Mercy has been in kind of a weird situation ever since the game was released. She's either been incredibly powerful and picked all the time, or she's just completely thrown away and not used at all. When the game first came out, Mercy was being used all the time because of the healing that she had was better than everything else in the game. But then Ana came out and completely replaced her. Then we had Dive with Zenyatta and Lucio. But then the Mercy rework happened, and all of a sudden Mercy was the #1 pick in the game for a very long time. She had like a 98% pick rate for a good amount of time, which was just absolutely ridiculous. You had to have a Mercy on your team, otherwise you were at a severe disadvantage. It's been a bit of a bumpy ride, and just recently there was a patch that affected most of the supports. Some got buffs, some got nerfs. With Mercy, she ended up getting a nerf. Her healing went from 60 healing per second down to 50 healing per second. That is a substantial change. That is a lot of healing that is just gone, that she can't do anymore. And the thing is, yes, other characters like Moira and Ana can heal for a lot more, but there's restrictions to it. You have resource meters, you have to reload, you have to aim, all that sort of stuff. With Mercy, she doesn't have those restrictions, so she just locks the healing beam on and that's it. But there's a certain level at which that is just simply not good enough. The raw healing output just drops below what you need in order to really function in the team. As a result, since Season 12 started, we've seen Mercy's pick rate and her win rate start to drop quite fast. And she just simply cannot compete with the other main healer spots, Moira and Ana. She just can't compete with them. Yes, she still has the Resurrect, but her raw healing output just isn't really where it needs to be for that main healer. And here's the deal, I know what Blizzard is thinking, I know what they're trying to do. I called this way back when they first started nerfing Mercy after she got her rework. They are going to do everything they can to keep Resurrect as a normal ability, and if they need to, they will nerf every other aspect of the character in order to try to balance it out. They nerfed her ultimate really severely, they nerfed her healing, they're gonna nerf everything about the character in order to keep Resurrect as a regular ability. And I don't think that's a good idea, because of the very nature of the Resurrect ability, it cannot be balanced like other abilities can. Short version is this. It has to do with how effective a player can be at any given time in a fight. A McCree with 1 hit point does just as much damage as a McCree with full hit points. But you bring him down to 0, and now he can't do anything. A Reinhardt with no health can't protect his team. A Zenyatta with no health can't provide any of the orbs or can't Transcendence, can't do none of that stuff. So, if you provide the buffs in-game, whether it's damage amp, speed boost, the anti-heal, whatever it happens to be, they change the effectiveness of a player during the fight. But once they have no health, they have no effectiveness at all. And that's where Resurrect comes in, because it takes a player that has 0 effectiveness and it all of a sudden brings them back to full. That is why it can never be balanced, because no other ability in the game does that. No other ability can take a character, a player that is doing absolutely nothing, and suddenly bring them back. I've heard a bunch of solutions to try to balance out res, but they're not gonna work. I'll run through them real quick anyways and just explain why they won't. So the first is the resource meter for Resurrect. The problem is that the higher skill players can heal for way more than the lower skill players. That means the high rank players are going to end up using their res way more often. And Blizzard is going to have to nerf it, and they're going to have to make it so that it takes a lot more healing in order to actually activate that res. If they do that, then it's going to take like 2.5 minutes for that Silver Mercy in order to heal enough in order to actually activate the res. So you can't really balance it. If you balance it for the lower bracket players, and you make it so that they don't have to heal too much in order to get the res, then the high skill, the GM Mercies, are going to be using res every 15 seconds, and it's just going to be ridiculous. But if you nerf it to the point where it takes the GM players a while, then, like I said, it's going to take the lower bracket players way too long. So that just doesn't really work. The other solution was to bring them back with less than full health. Maybe they're only at half health or whatever. This would probably be worse than bringing them back with full health, because most of the time when someone gets res, they're in a relatively safe location, or at least they're being protected by a tank or something like that. So they're going to get resed with half health, and then what's going to happen? The Mercy is immediately going to start healing them, and she's going to build her ultimate even faster because of that. The only possibility is maybe they count the missing health as self-damage, in which case it doesn't actually give her ult charge. But regardless, it wouldn't fix anything, because most of the time they're going to be rezzed in a safe location or a protected spot, and they're just going to get healed back to full anyways. The third solution that always comes up is, well, why don't you just revert it back to where she had the Resurrect as her ultimate? This would be a terrible idea. Prior to the rework, the old version of Mercy had almost no usage whatsoever in the higher skill brackets, and particularly in the tournaments. She just wasn't used, and there was a couple of reasons for that. The main one was that rather than helping you win the fight, like a Zenyatta Trance or a Lucio Sound Barrier or a Nano Boost or whatever it happens to be, these are abilities that help you win the fight. But Mercy's res just helped you reset the fight. And really, unless you got a 5-man res, then it just wasn't that good. Oftentimes, it would be better to just let your team get wiped, respawn, and then try again as 6. That was often the better solution, and that's why Mercy just simply wasn't used in the higher brackets. The other problem was that even in the lower brackets where this could be partially effective, it led to really bad behavior, which was the hide and res. So Mercy has Resurrect available. What do? You go and you hide behind the wall, you wait till 3 or 4 people die. In that time, yeah, you can jump out and you can res them, but that whole time that you were hiding, nobody was getting healed. Nobody was getting damage boosted. It's just like a waste of the character. You're not actually participating, you're just sitting on the sidelines. And that was just really bad way to play the character. The only real solution that I can see to all of these problems that's not going to end up with Mercy getting nerfed again and again and again is if you simply replace the Resurrect. I know it's a very iconic ability, I know it's, a big part of what makes Mercy Mercy, but the fact of the matter is, it just can't be balanced. So we either have to have Mercy get nerfed again and again, with her ultimate getting worse, her regular healing getting worse, all for the sake of simply keeping the Resurrect ability. Or you can just get rid of res, replace it with something else, then you can buff her regular healing back up, you can fix her ultimate, make it better, make it more powerful, make it more interesting, and you can give her some other ability. Now, I've made a video in the past where I came up with this idea called Miracle Worker, which kind of works like a mix of the Repair Pack and the Zarya Bubble. I don't want to fully go into it. You can check out that video. I'll put a link for that down below if you want to actually check that out. But I just don't see how you can keep Resurrect in the game without constantly nerfing Mercy. And as we're seeing with her pick rates, this most recent nerf has basically put her in a bad spot where, yeah, she's still going to be a viable pick in the lower bracket, so if you're bronze through plat, you can still use Mercy, and you're still probably going to be decently effective. But the fact of the matter is, if you can aim, you're always going to be better using Ana. And the higher skill players who have very good accuracy, they're going to use Ana, they're going to use Zenyatta, and they're going to just not use Mercy anymore. And I just think it's a really bad way to balance the character. Like, you're basically willing to throw out everything else for the sake of simply keeping the Resurrect, and I just don't think that's a good way to balance Mercy. So what do you guys think about all of these changes and nerfs to Mercy? Would you rather just have them get rid of res and put something else if it means that they can make the rest of the character better? Or would you rather have them sacrifice more of the hero in order to keep the res? Let me know down below. Thanks for watching, and if you'd like to see more, subscribe and hit that bell so you don't miss anything. Also, come hang out in my Discord server and my Twitch live stream. Special thanks to my Patreon supporters. If you'd like to see what kind of cool VIP rewards you can get, check the links down below. And remember, always blame the controller, because it's never your fault.